Aston Martin has just dropped a huge bombshell about Lance Stroll's disastrous performance at the Chinese Grand Prix. The racing world is buzzing after Stroll's latest mishap on the track, shocking fans and critics. What exactly went wrong for Stroll in Shanghai, and how is Aston Martin handling the fallout? This could be a game-changer for the young driver's career and the team's future strategy. So let's dive into this video today to know all. The Shanghai Grand Prix has shed light on a question that many have been pondering for quite some time. What is Lance Stroll still doing in Formula One? It's well known that his father owns the team, which keeps him securely in his seat at Aston Martin. Yet, with Honda showing interest in partnering with the Silverstone-based team, changes might be on the horizon. Despite Aston Martin's official position remaining the same, one can't help but wonder if it's time for Lance Stroll to have a tough conversation with his son. Is it the moment to start thinking about the post-Lance era at Aston Martin? The Shanghai GP was particularly disappointing for Lance, marking a low point in his career, which has had its share of such moments, even though he is only 25 years old. During the race, Lance made a significant error by crashing into the back of Ricciardo's car while failing to properly judge the corner and the position of two other cars ahead of the Red Bull driver. This incident suggests that Lance might either be extremely careless or simply lacks the essential qualities of a Formula One driver. Likely, it's a mix of both. Lance remains in a comfortable position because of his father's support, maintaining a demeanor on the track that perhaps he believes portrays him as formidable. However, this attitude, combined with his underwhelming performance, he has only managed to earn 9 of the team's 40 points in 2024, forms a toxic mix for a driver whose tenure in F1 is increasingly questioned. Honda's concerns. With new regulations on the horizon, Honda has expressed apprehensions about the driver lineup at Aston Martin starting in 2026. Koji Arab, the director of Honda F1, has been quite vocal about the team's ambitions. The goal for the team is to win races, and for that, they need the best possible lineup on the grid, Arab stated. When reviewing the current drivers at Aston Martin, a stark discrepancy is evident, especially when comparing performances. Despite the challenge of keeping pace with a seasoned champion like Alonso, Lance's efforts seem lackluster, and he does not appear to be striving to enhance his skills. The incident at the Shanghai GP, where Stroll collided with Ricciardo's car, has ignited widespread controversy within Formula One circles. Despite the evident fault, Mike Crack, the team principal of Aston Martin, defended Stroll's actions. This defense shows an ongoing issue within the team. Stroll seems to enjoy a level of impunity, likely because his father owns the team. Stroll's own comments on the penalty being stupid and pointless because he believed Ricciardo had brake-tested him did little to quell the criticism, particularly as this occurred under safety car conditions. The frustration isn't confined to team directors and fans. Daniel Ricciardo, the driver who was the victim of Stroll's misjudgment, didn't hold back his true feelings about the mishap. While navigating under the safety car and approaching the apex, which Stroll claimed to be focusing on, Ricciardo felt unfairly penalized by Stroll's actions. Adding to the heated debate around the incident at the Shanghai GP, Daniel Ricciardo shared his perspective on how the collision severely impacted his race by causing terminal damage to his car's diffuser. Maybe in an hour when he sees the incident, he might take some accountability. But if he doesn't, I can't help him, nor can anyone else, Ricciardo stated. He pointed out the inherent risk and inappropriateness of such incidents occurring behind a safety car, noting, "It is so frustrating. Obviously, racing incidents happen, but behind a safety car they should never happen." Ricciardo also described his efforts to understand Stroll's actions by watching the onboard camera footage from Stroll's car. "What made my blood boil was that I watched his onboard just to see it from his perspective. And as soon as we started braking, you can see his helmet turn right, and he's looking at the apex of turn 14. He is not even watching me, and then when he looks back, he is in the back of me," he explained. Despite his frustrations, Ricciardo commented that the penalty given to Stroll, which resulted in him finishing last after serving a 10-second penalty, was too harsh. The car in front of me stopped from 60 to 0 and boom, a really stupid incident. It's not like everything was normal and I just slammed right into the back of him. There was a really odd concertina effect that I would have liked to see the stewards consider maybe a little bit more, Stroll said. Oscar Piastri's reaction. The incident at the Shanghai GP continues to garner attention, and even Oscar Piastri weighed in with his thoughts. When asked about the alleged reason Stroll crashed into Ricciardo, Piastri responded with skepticism. "Yes, we all suddenly brake, but we didn't crash into each other," he pointed out, emphasizing that sudden braking was common yet did not justify the outcome. Despite the controversies, the stance of Aston Martin remains unequivocal. Lance Stroll is here to stay. The team has built its entire project around him, and not necessarily because of his performance or contributions as a driver. When discussing the future of Aston Martin and the role of Stroll within the team principal Mike Crack stated, "Last week it was mainly about Fernando, but we also know that Aston Martin is Lance's home. We know that the whole project has always been around him, so we look for continuity. I have always said that this is very important." The future of Aston Martin. Despite the team's commitment to Stroll, skepticism remains about his role in the team's success. His presence in the team seems to stem more from his passion for racing, which initially brought his father into the sport, transforming Racing Point into Aston Martin. Initially, this project showed promise, with aspirations to frequently compete for podiums, particularly in 2023. However, the team's performance has been waning. Now struggling in the midfield, it casts doubts on the sustainability of building a team around Stroll's involvement. The next few weeks might be critical in determining whether Aston Martin can turn around its fortunes or continue to lag in performance. Interestingly, Aston Martin is still trailing behind Mercedes, their main rival, despite Mercedes experiencing a lackluster season with Hamilton not securing a top 5 finish in any race so far. Aston Martin remains 12 points behind, largely due to Lance's limited contribution to the team. He has brought in only 9 of the team's 40 points this season, which is significantly less than what Alonso has achieved. This disparity suggests that Aston Martin might face another challenging season with a heavy reliance on just one driver. As Honda's collaboration with Red Bull is set to expire, their ambitions remain high, expecting nothing less than race wins and championship contentions. There's a possibility that with the right equipment, Alonso could lead the team to greater success. However, with a competitive grid that includes evolving teams like Ferrari and Mercedes and new entries from Red Bull's powertrain division, Aston Martin needs a stronger two-driver lineup to maximize its performance. Future prospects and driver management. Honda has a unique approach to managing its drivers, and with Yuki Tsunoda in their lineup, it's not a stretch to think Honda might push for his placement at Aston Martin. Saying they won't lobby for Tsunoda's inclusion in Aston Martin would be an understatement, indicating intense behind-the-scenes efforts to position their drivers favorably within the evolving F1 team dynamics. Red Bull is currently facing a tough decision regarding its driver lineup. They have 2 main options: either extend Sergio Perez's contract or bring in Carlos Sainz as a new second driver alongside Verstappen. Helmut Marko of Red Bull has openly admitted that they are considering hiring from outside, which could mean bringing in Sainz if Perez underperforms. However, Perez's poor performance seems unlikely for the rest of the season. Yuki Tsunoda is expected to perform exceptionally by 2026, as he aims to make Honda proud. If Honda decides to push for Tsunoda to join Aston Martin, it could lead to some tough conversations within the team. Despite this potential shakeup, the likelihood of change at Aston Martin remains low. Lawrence Stroll has consistently stated, "As long as I'm the owner of the team, Lance will have a seat in it." The current engine supplier for Aston Martin, Mercedes, is relatively indifferent about who drives for Aston Martin because they are preoccupied with their own challenges. However, this dynamic could change dramatically with Honda. If Honda becomes Aston Martin's engine supplier, they will likely demand strong performance in return for their investment. Moreover, with Aramco poised to potentially take a controlling stake from Lawrence Stroll, pressure could mount on Stroll to reconsider his son's position in the team. The critical question is whether Lawrence will prioritize competitive success over his son's security in the team, especially if external pressures demand a more capable driver lineup to move out of the midfield. So, what do you think of the major bombshell by Aston Martin on Lance Stroll over the Chinese GP disaster? Comment below and subscribe for more.